if I'm online, which I'm not sure I am. And if I go and try to load myself, I am. Hello, good morning. Made you jump. Good morning, Christopher, Dennis, everyone else. How's everyone doing today? Feedback Friday, October 23rd. Yes, it's the 23rd. Good morning. I'm pixelated. I should be in 720 today. I thought anyway. Set it to 720p. Let me go look at myself. Stream myself. Oh yeah, I'm a little pixelated. Okay. Well, how's everyone enjoying the Halloween event so far? A great morning, even someone wished. Well, thank you. Someone's joining us at nighttime. Well, good evening to you. Great so far. Somebody in the chat. Awesome. Loving the event. Good to hear it. Just about to capture the boss mouse. I am almost there myself. I am 2 hunts away. Don't forget to stop streaming yourself. Yeah, I already closed that tab. And fortunately now, YouTube allows you to pop out the chat, whereas before I would have to go to our own channel to view the chat. And then I'd have to pause the video so I wasn't streaming myself while uploading. Although our internet seems better these days using YouTube, it's no need to be uploading and downloading at the same time. The chat, the shop are good. The trap, a little disappointing. Now it is kind of a mid-tier trap this year. We did just add a massive shadow trap as well with the labyrinth, so the high-level hunters do have some shadow stuff to strive for. And the event, you know, it is a bit of a short and sweet event, so it's a nice little bonus trap to collect if you have a better shadow trap, or if you're just starting out, that might be one of your better shadow traps to give you a bit of a boost where you are, but without taking away more traps to earn down the road. We have a few things this Feedback Friday. We're going to do a quick little news and announcement about the mobile app. It's in the ticker, but I just wanted to reiterate it here. Let you fill hunters in on what we're working on currently. A couple feedback questions. One feedback question specifically about Feedback Friday itself. I'm not sure if that's irony or what, but feedback on the feedback. Halloween feedback. I have a question, something we were aiming to do, so I want to see if we hit the mark there. And then finally a couple trivia with some reward links to end it off. Comment in the chat was ugliest trap ever. Well, it's a unique looking trap for a very unique looking mouse this year. That mouse is a bit of an abomination. I don't know if I'd want to run into it depending on how large it was or small it was. So first off, it's in the ticker, but I wanted to reiterate that for mobile, the Halloween update is currently available for Android in the Google Play Store. However, the iOS update is still pending review by Apple. So hopefully that will be in the App Store soon for iOS. If you're using an iPhone or iPad to play from, you may have noticed that you're not able to see your trick-and-treating progress or play the Spooky Shuffle. That is still pending review by Apple. There was a bit of a hiccup. We had the update all ready to go, and we submitted October the 6th. So that was over 2 weeks ago. And there's a little bit of a hiccup, and it was rejected by Apple, and we had to start the process over again. As for what we're working on, I want to maybe elaborate a little bit on some of the things that we told you last week. With the Haunted Territories out the door now and released, we are focused on the Toxic Spill update, which we mentioned last week, a prize system overhaul, and an overhaul of the King's Giveaway, as well as we're getting started on the Great Winter Hunt from a kind of design perspective. So the Toxic Spill update, it's finally completed. We got all the loose ends tied up, all those last little stats and numbers and items and everything's drawn and implemented, and we're ready to kind of start testing it out now. So that should hopefully be ready for November, sometime after the Halloween event, and that's probably a good thing. Those filtration system on the lab seems to be holding its own for quite a while, so it's got to be due to a burst and fail at any minute. So the update's almost ready, and that's good timing for that. We've added quite a few new uses for Pollutinum, and I think last week shared in the forum thread a couple teasers, and I will share a couple more this week. Just have to find them. I had them ready to go, but I had to restart the program and I didn't save my screenshots here. So I think I shared a smaller screenshot of this last week. It's a little bit more detail. Actually, no, that's probably about the same image. A little more detail. The mouth is a little more wide open. This will be a new skin, if you can't tell, for the School of Sharks trap. And if I do say so myself, I think it looks pretty awesome, and that's I definitely want to get this skin once it is out. Someone said duh for the School of Sharks, yeah. Doesn't look like a rune shark. That's definitely the School of Sharks with the extra peripherals there, but it looks great. I can't wait to get that myself when it's out. What else do we have here? It's a bit of a unique item, and I shared this last. Sorry, I shared this last week as well. This is Toxic Brie, and we're also working on a Toxic Super Brie Plus as well. Now, the toxic nature of both of these cheese does something new. It weakens the mice because it's toxic, and which boosts the power of your trap. So these are the first cheese that will not only affect your ability to attract mice, but also your ability to capture them. So they're going to have a little bit of, it's cheese that bites back a little bit. So that'll help you capture mice as well as attract them. And we will have a Brie and a Super Brie version of that. That's something new you can craft, or you will be able to craft with Pollutinum. A question in the chat. Yeah, poison cheese. I guess you can kind of think of it as that. We were a little nervous to call it poison cheese because it's a little too on the nose. I think as far as how you would capture mice in real life, or how some people would capture mice in real life. We tend to go more whimsical and over the top. So the death bot, when you think about it, sounds a little gruesome, but it also has that sort of Wile E. Coyote effect of it's because it's so over the top. It's unbelievable. So we shied away from poison. We went with toxic. It also fits in with the toxic spill theme as well. Someone's asking if there will be new toxic spill mice. No, it's the same set. We're just adding new rewards, and the biggest change, which we mentioned last week as well, is that the cleanup rate will be on a timer. So instead of it being affected by how many hunters are hunting there and how many mice they're capturing, it'll just be a more easy to understand, less confusing countdown timer. We've sort of storied that as the king has hired a cleanup crew, and so hunters are now protecting the cleanup crew, and they can clean at a much more predictable and less confusing rate. Another new item, this will actually be in the Laboratory General Store, because it felt a little bit weird to be an item that you would craft, and we wanted you to be able to purchase it while the spill was closed, because you can't refine your Pollutinum until the spill closes. So a scientist in the lab has been hoarding these chests made of refined Pollutinum and is willing to part with one for a good chunk of the Pollutinum that you collect in the spill. Now these are good if you have your sights set on gold, gold, and more gold. If you are wishing for a way just to very easily convert your Pollutinum into bonus gold, these chests will contain a 100,000 gold as well as a bonus item from the spill. So they're kind of a nice item if you don't know what else to spend your Pollutinum on, or maybe you value gold above charms or trap skins. This will be a way to always earn some bonus gold after you complete the toxic spill. see. That was all I had there. Check that out. Yeah, all right. Yeah, that's a good feedback question too. Someone in the chat pointed out that they like how we revisit some older things and breathe a little bit of new life into it. And that is a lot of the point of doing this as well, is getting feedback. And a lot of the times the greatest ideas come out once hunters have been playing through everything and testing it out and pushing the limits of what they can do somewhere. We get a lot of feedback of more of this, less of that. And so that helps us go back and give things a fresh coat of paint now and then. Some people in the chat have leveled up to Archduke/Archduchess. They're all set for the next spill. Knock on wood that it's a high level spill. Another comment from the chat on the other end of the spectrum was when something gets updated when it's old, I have to go back. So for the windmill, I had to go back to get that Captain Croissant. Hopefully that wouldn't take a high-level hunter too long, though. I think the traps available to you would make short work of the mice in the windmill. Well, the other thing that we are working on currently is a overhaul of the prize system. So touched on this a little bit last week. Basically, the old prize system was really confusing. It worked a little odd, and it created some confusing behaviors that looked abnormal. And so the biggest, most noticeable one was if a hunter with a weak trap would capture a treasure, snooty, and high roller, who are relatively weaker, they'd be on a cooldown time where a hunter isn't allowed to even encounter those mice again after they've caught that prize mouse. So the only prize mice left they could encounter was the mobster and the leprechaun. Now, if the leprechaun is exceedingly rare, that really the only mouse they could realistically encounter was the mobster. And so that would lead to some hunters with a weak trap encountering the mobster frequently could never capture it, and that was because they were still in the cooldown for the other prize mice that they captured. So we're overhauling that. We're getting rid of the cooldown time on the treasure, the snooty, and the high roller mouse, and that will help alleviate the problem. We're also sort of overhauling how the prize pool works. It was a little confusing in that the rarity of a prize was relative to the number of prizes in the pool. So if there were 20,000 treasurers and 1,000 mobsters, then you would have a 1,000 out of 21,000 chance of it being a mobster when you were selected for a prize mouse encounter. So that was a little weird. It caused some confusing behavior, so we're overhauling that to hopefully avoid there being any weird little circumstances that seem confusing. Someone's missed 4. I don't think I have even encountered a leprechaun. Let me go check. Because I can unequivocally say that I've been hunting the longest. Although perhaps not the most number of hunts done. That's another little project we're working on. This reminds me is we're trying to overhaul the mouse page, because you may have noticed that it loads incredibly slow. And there are even some bugs where the mouse page may fail to load. So we are trying to address that. Because right now my mouse page just took 16 seconds to load, which is quite ridiculous. Leprechauns. I have missed 7 leprechauns. That hurts. And a high roller. I do not have a high roller myself either. I've only missed a high roller once though, so I've only seen a high roller once in all my years of mouse hunting. Now, we are also taking the opportunity with the overhaul the prize system and the King's giveaway to update the King's arms a little bit. And we are adding some skins and a few other items. One such skin. Let's see if there's any guesses about which trap this could be a skin for. There's a question in the chat about friends lists. It has been a little bit cumbersome since Facebook changed the way permissions work and the way you add a friend to an app. We are still kind of brainstorming a bit of a fix, but it's not going to be any too straightforward of a fix. It needs a little bit of engineering, some good testing, so it's on our radar. No timeline yet of when we might overhaul how friends work. Yes, a couple hunters in the chat did point out that is the temporal turbine. That is correct. As you can tell by the essence of destruction being so concentrated in the middle of that circle. Finally, the last thing on our radar that we're working on right now is the Great Winter Hunt. And last week, I encouraged hunters to reply to the Feedback Friday summary thread or go to the Ideas and Suggestions forum and let us know if you have any themes you want to see us explore or any even more specific ideas. And we've been throwing around a couple ideas around here at the office, and actually it was a suggestion on the forums that came after Feedback Friday that sparked a little bit of inspiration, and we kind of tossed around an idea a little back and forth, and we think we have what our plan of what we're going to do for the Great Winter Hunt. So we're just starting on sort of the design phase of that. No code being written, no mice being drawn yet, but we're just hammering down a few of the nitty-gritty details now. But that's coming in December, so we get a pretty good head start on that because the Great Winter Hunt is a fairly large event. It's a little bit too early to share too many details, just in case we kind of change our plan. Don't want to skew expectations or anything, or say we're going to do one thing, and if we kind of prototype and it's no fun, we would scrap it or change it. One thing we do want to keep, and we get some feedback from hunters in the chat, is we do like the idea of sort of building and upgrading things, of where you show up and you can make something better and better, and that helps you go through the event a little bit better. So an example from last year was a snow fort. I don't think we're going to do a snow fort again, but kind of pay homage to that same idea by having something that you build and construct. It unlocks new bonuses and abilities and things like that. A gingerbread fortress was a suggestion there, just constantly building forts. I think we've had a ice fort and snow fort twice now. The stuck snowball mouse, somebody was suggesting, are they expressing some love for that mouse? I think we've already built an ice castle, somebody suggested in the chat. A water fort. It was a balmy winter hunt this year, and the snow melted and you built a fort out of water. That sounds like a hard construction feat, to build something out of liquid. Icicle Igloo Town. A lot of creative spelling for igloo going on. Squeaker Claw's Workshop. We did do a bit of a toy factory theme the one year where you were building toys. Alright, by all means too. We haven't really put anything in stone yet. We have a pretty good idea of where we want to go, but hit the summary thread. I'll usually post a summary in the tavern section of the forums, and you can let us know there. Or the ideas and suggestions forum too if you have something more elaborate. But the clock is ticking, so if you want to throw around any suggestions or try and be the source of some inspiration, maybe head to the forums ASAP. A snow pirate ship. You know what? I can remember, maybe it was last year or the year before last, Franco had a very humorously titled pirate-themed winter event. I can't remember what he called it. Something, I think Sky Pirates was involved. This brings us to our feedback questions for this week, and there's two. One is about Feedback Friday itself, and then another one about Halloween. And actually, maybe I'll start with the Halloween one. This year we tried to have hunting with spooky and extra spooky charms at the haunted territories have a more unique feel and their own sort of unique rewards. So using either type of spooky charm will add mice that drop spooky shuffle tickets. Additionally, the extra spooky charms, they add the rift mice for rift candies, as well as the MouseHunt priestess who drops labyrinth flutes. So we're trying to make it feel very sort of high level, extra challenge, but you're getting a lot more useful items that come a little bit later in the game when you're a higher hunter's title. So did this change as hunters? Did you feel that it made the two types of spooky charms do something more useful and interesting this year? Someone said they love the use of the new charms. Someone else was saying the rift mice were too rare using the extra spooky charms. Too strong. Well, they are rift mice. They are some of the most powerful mice. They are tricky to catch, depending on your setup. We did add the Rift Walker set bonus to the extra spooky charm as well. So keep that in mind. Make sure you arm a Rift base and a Rift weapon with the new Rift extra spooky charm. And that will give you the most bang for your buck. You'll get the luck and the power bonus from combining 3 Rift items into a set. Not enough labyrinth loot being dropped. I don't think there could ever be enough labyrinth loot being dropped. There's a big need for it. The normal candies, that is a fair point, especially if you're a higher title hunter. The candies may not prove too useful. However, you can, although correct me if I'm wrong, you can exchange them for cobwebs. And you can get some very powerful charms with the cobwebs. There's lots of trap skins as well if there's any that you haven't collected yet, if that you're interested in. That's me reading the chat. I'm writing down some answers from the chat as well. A question about the mobile app. iTunes purchase items fixed yet? In case you're just joining us, you won't be able to do too much in regards of Halloween for on your iPhone or iPad. It's still pending review by Apple, so we had a little bit of a hiccup. It was rejected by Apple. We had to resubmit, so there was a delay in getting the Halloween update out. So you cannot view your trick-or-treat progress, and you won't be able to purchase from the premium shop on mobile some of the Halloween items because those two are reviewed by Apple. Do I dare load this image in the chat of when are we getting this trap? We creatively circumvented the URL filtering system from the 3D. So if you haven't seen it, I don't know where you can even go to view this video. It might be on our Facebook wall, but it was a little promo video done for MouseHunt where there's a dwarf mouse escaping a trap that is not existent in the game. Maybe one day. It is a cool looking trap. Kind of the cheese levitates in the middle of it. There's a question about Halloween. Will there be library assignments this year? It was something we looked at. It came up during testing to update the library assignments, and they're a little bit cumbersome. They're actually fairly hard to maintain, and they proved that they weren't overly popular in years past. There's not too many hunters doing them, and hunters not feeling like the rewards were really worth the effort put into a library assignment. So with that in mind, we weren't feeling too inspired while designing those assignments. And because they're in a little bit of a need of an overhaul, we bypassed them this year. hopefully we'll be able to return and revisit the library assignments, much like we're revisiting the toxic spill now. In the past, we revisited the windmill in the town of Narnia. We do like to go back to areas and give them a fresh coat of paint every now and then when we have time to. And library assignments, they are kind of teetering a little higher on the list just because they don't feel as great as they could. And the M400 assignment, actually, that was a time we went back, and that was a pretty fun assignment as well. But I think it's more of a technical overhaul that we have to pull off. It is incredibly awkward to maintain the event-based library assignments. And for the rewards for library assignment from the chat there, originally they were somewhat conservative because it is something you can do alongside a treasure map and alongside the normal event. So just by traveling to the Crystal Library and picking it up an assignment, you're just kind of instantly getting more rewards without having to put in more effort than you would otherwise on a map or just normally going through the event, or not too much. You may have to target one mouse here or there. So you may want to do something more creative with those in the future. Give them a more sort of unique reward, unique feel on their own without it just being more of the same stuff. Our second feedback question has to pertain to Feedback Friday itself. And actually this came up from... Just going to ban someone from the chat. And all right. This actually came up from this morning because I was confused and I had no idea what Feedback Friday it was today. And I think Jacob was actually planning on painting, and they ended up coming into the office, and here we are. So the Feedback Friday schedule has been a bit of a loose schedule where the second and the fourth Friday each month is a live painting session. Now that routine largely came to be because at times it was tough to have something new to share each Feedback Friday. So we're just want to touch base with hunters again, and I think we have in the past. And how would you like to see Feedback Friday schedule work? What sort of content or what sort of things would you like to see during Feedback Friday? Basically, how we're doing. And a squeaky chair. Yeah, sneak peeks and spoilers are fun. That's a comment from the chat. Take in suggestions. We do that as well. We do notice the times we've tried to do a mailbag, it typically does turn into a suggestion mailbag, and we have forums for that as well. I think it's a bit better of a format to have the suggestions coming through the forums, where they're a little bit more documented, where people get time to kind of type out exactly what they want and more than just a sentence. And that is quite a popular forum where we kind of browse it. I know I browse that during my lunch hour a lot of times while I'm kind of eating. I thumb through it quickly, and it's although sometimes it's not taking that idea and great, boom, in the game, but a lot of times they serve as inspiration. That was an interesting suggestion to highlight a few ideas that we like and get more feedback. Advanced notice to Feedback Friday would be good so I could plan my Fridays. We do them most Fridays. There was one not too long ago. It was canceled on a little bit short notice, and we're going to try not to do that again. To make sure if it's not going to happen, then give you a heads up more than 10-15 minutes before that. But it is 8 a.m. in our time zone. If that helps, whatever time it is right now, 30 minutes ago in your time zone is typically when we start every Friday. And if it's not this, which we call, I don't know, normal Feedback Friday, it'll be a live painting with Jacob, or Art Feedback Friday, or Feedback Art. And if you abbreviate that, you get a totally mature abbreviation. Feedback Friday twice a week, but there's only one Friday. Some interesting conversation going on in the chat that I'm reading here. Somebody suggested Winer's Wednesday. Yep, Michelle got the abbreviation right. It's Feedback Friday Art, F-A-R-T. Sure do like our abbreviations. There's a question. It looks like the temporal can be found. Someone asked if the Minotaur trap part items can be found in a rare labyrinth treasure chest, and yes, they can. I believe a hunter has shared that intel. There was one lucky hunter who got a trap part out of a rare labyrinth treasure chest. Hunter said every day is Winer's Wednesday. Oh no. Hopefully there's some cheese Wednesdays going on as well. Here's a question about gourd charms, if they're exclusive to the event. I believe they will be. They're fairly harvest themed, so I think they will remain as just a reward for doing the Haunted Territories event. I don't see us adding them anywhere else, unless we have a change of heart. A lot of suggestions for Varmint Valley. That is on our radar. It's a potential candidate for our next sort of giant big area, sort of something of the scale of the Labyrinth and Zokor, or something of the scale of the Living Garden. Like another really big area with lots of things to explore would be a Law one, as there's lots and lots of room to expand that still. Someone asked, when a map owner leaves a map, how is the next owner decided? Actually, I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head. I think I won't even spread misinformation by spouting a theory. I will write down that question and post a answer in the summary potentially. Well, finally, brings us to trivia. Questions for hunters with reward links from Larry. I'm having trouble speaking today. Oh, I think I got a message from Jacob as well. Oh, okay. Jacob's been working, before we get to the trivia, one more thing to show you. He's been working on a new illustration for Superbri Plus, and he wanted to show that to get some feedback. We showed some our first draft last week, and this is Jacob's take on it, if I can find it. I don't think my posture is particularly good right now. That's not it. Where is it? Uh-oh. Locating files. There we go. His file size name is Cheese Super Brie Huge. Something tells me it's high res. Now I think he's copy pasted the Super Brie Plus logo in there. Either that or I wouldn't imagine that's the final font. If it is, my feedback is better font. You know, actually, it looks good on my. That might be the software doing that. Yeah, it's crisp on here, so this is definitely a lower res version of it. Sparkly. Now the sparkles are magic essence, because when you smash Super Brie, you get magic essence. No, the face. You know, I had a hard time seeing the face in the last version of Super Brie that we shared last week. Someone sees another face. Well, that's it. There's no getting rid of faces, I guess. I don't see a face in that cheese at all, but so cheesy. It makes me dizzy. Okay, well, you may want to pause the video and potentially go to the clinic if that cheese image is making you dizzy. Well, to compare, we can well, you know what? I don't know where that is, actually. See if I can dig out the one I shared last week. People want to see the face, apparently. Just have to find it. I better actually add these to my notes as well so I remember to post it. Alright, here's the other version. Save it. Alright. This one has a plus in the file name. Craziness. Craziness to put a plus in a file name. People miss the face. I guess I see the face here. Now to clarify, if you see a face in this Super Brie, is it down in the bottom right corner or in the corner of the cheese closest to the rind? I'm not sure if this has been mirrored flip to say right or not. It's in the middle, isn't it? All right, let me see if I can see this face. See, I see down in the corner, one of the nubs has a nose and a little mouth. I see 3 faces in the old one. All right, too many faces. And Jacob did say, I think he's going to update the text a little bit. Plus, he's still a work in progress, too. So these aren't sort of the final versions. Where did the chat go? There it went. Someone sees an angry elephant on the bottom left. All right, this is getting out of hand here. There's far too many abstract visions of things found in cheese. It's like a magic eye or something. And that brings us to trivia. 2 questions, both Halloween related. The first trivia question is, how many different types of mice can be encountered while using standard bait at the territories? So not trick-or-treat cheese, your armed Gouda, Super Brie, Swiss cheddar. How many unique breeds can you encounter? 74 is incorrect, 48 is also incorrect. 9 is correct. That was quick. Katrina. There are 9 unique breeds to encounter. 2 of those this year drop trick and treat cheese. The hollowhead and the dire lichen mouse both drop trick and treat cheese. So you get the cheese a little bit quicker than last year because there's an extra mouse in the mix. There's a lot of numbers in the chat. That's a lot of numbers. And I'm just going to test this reward link. Make sure it's not 20 Chrome Monster Bots. That's our running gag in the office. And I will post these as well in the summary. Yep, the Candy Goblin does... Is it the Candy Goblin? No, the Candy Goblin does not come to standard unless you have a... Actually, that's a good point. I didn't mention charm setup, but without any special charm armed is 9. Although technically, I guess you could get 10 if you armed a Candy Charm or a Shortcut Charm. Shortcut Charm would even be 11, potentially. Yeah. So in the chat, I got 3 temporal plates. It wasn't temporal plates. The second trivia question also has to do with the haunted territories is, where can you encounter the grave robber mouse this year at the haunted territories? So we did move a few of the mice around this year. Another example is the pumpkin hoarder is now only in the pumpkin patch. The gray recluse and the shortcut avoid standard cheese. Well, there you go. I was wrong. Nowhere is a guess in the chat. The pumpkin patch is correct. Now, this one you will need another piece of equipment other than cheese to encounter the grave robber. It is an extra challenging mouse, and you will need... Somebody in the chat is about to get it. I can feel it. Polluted Parmesan is incorrect. There we go, George. Get the extra little bonus detail of you need a spooky or extra spooky charm. Spelt with an X, extra spooky. Spooky harms. Spooky charms is correct. Pumpkin patch with a spooky or extra spooky charm. I'll test this link again, make sure it's not those 3 temporal plates. Alright. Spooky shuffle ticket, that would have been a good idea. Maybe next time. It's not a spooky shuffle ticket. Although they will help you to hunt down mice that will give you spooky shuffle tickets. Hey, well, thanks for joining me, hunters. I will post a summary of Feedback Friday on the forums, as I normally do. And I've written down the answers from the chats for the feedback question. I will post a few of the answers from the chat, and you can let us know more feedback on the forums as well. Somebody's asking, what's next week's Feedback Friday? Well, I think I messed up the normal rhythm of things, and next week will be a live painting with Jacob. I think that was supposed to be today, but I didn't know what was going on. And so we did this. No 48 question this time. Yeah, we keep forgetting, Dennis, to make a question with the answer 48 for you. Yeah, question with the answer. I thought I said an answer with the question of 48. Yep, as Jacob pointed in the chat, it will be an FB fart day. All right, well, thanks for the well wishes in the chat. Enjoy your weekend as well. Happy hunting, or happy haunting if you're in the haunted territories. And Jacob, will see you next week.
You're a scrawny little mouse.